Hello and welcome to the Rule Book Room. In today's episode, I want to explore a question that feels simple on the surface. Should marriage be registered? But behind it lies a powerful story of rights, recognition, and reform. We are looking at landmark Supreme Court case of Seema versus Ashwini Kumar, decided in 2006. It's a case that didn't just settle a personal dispute, it opened up a conversation about marriage registration in India, especially under Section 8 of the Hindu Marriage Act of 1955. Seema was a woman who approached the Supreme Court not just with her own grievance, but with a broader issue that affects countless women across the country. She had married Ashwini Kumar according to Hindu rites and ceremonies, possibly the traditional way. Sacred fire, mantras, relatives present, and customary rituals followed. But there was one thing missing: no official registration of the marriage. Later, as the relationship broke down, Seema realized that without any official proof of marriage, her position, legally as well as socially, was precarious. She wasn't just fighting for herself, she was pointing out a systematic issue: what happened when a woman is told that her marriage never existed just because there's no document to show for it. And so, she filed a writ petition before the Supreme Court of India asking whether registration of marriage should be made compulsory to ensure legal certainty and to protect the rights of women. Now let's turn to law. Under Section 8 of the Hindu Marriage Act of 1955, state governments are empowered to make rules regarding registration of Hindu marriages. It says for the purpose of facilitating the proof of Hindu marriages. The key words here is may, that makes registration optional, not mandatory. This means that while solemnization through Hindu customs is valid, registration is not required to prove the existence or validity of a Hindu marriage. But here's the problem. In absence of any registration, it sometimes, without even photographs or witness willing to testify, women face serious obstacles when they seek maintenance, inheritance, custody, or protection from abandonment. A man may simply deny the marriage, and the burden falls on the woman to prove it. And if she cannot, the consequences are often devastating. Seema's petition touches a nerve. The Supreme Court recognized that a country like India, where a significant number of marriages take place without any documentation, the absence of a registration requirement leads to injustice, especially for women and children. Supreme Court held that the object of Section 8 is to provide proof of marriage. Though Hindu marriages are solemnized as per customary rites, it is imperative to register them in order to prevent social evils and protect the rights of the parties. The court acknowledged that registration would not affect the validity of a marriage. In other words, a Hindu marriage remains valid even if it's not registered, as long as it has been solemnized according to the required customs. However, it emphasized that the registration is vital for establishing rights. So, what did the court do? Using its constitutional power under Article 142, the court issued a direction to all the states and union territories to take appropriate steps for making registration of all marriages compulsory, irrespective of religion, caste, or custom. This direction applied to all marriages, Hindu, Muslim, Christian, Parsi, or interfaith, as a secular reform for the larger public good. Let's pause and think about what the courts are really doing here. It wasn't declaring any marriage illegal, it wasn't interfering with religious customs. What it did was to strike a balance, allowing marriages to be performed according to custom, but asking the state to ensure that a proper record exists. The court stated that compulsory registration would help prevent child marriages, prevent cases of bigamy or polygamy, protect deserted women, establish legal status in case of custody or maintenance, ensure inheritance and property claims, and even help in curbing human trafficking. In other words, registration acts as a shield, particularly for women, so that their status as wives, their rights in a marriage, and their children's claims are not denied. Following this judgment, several states amended their rules or issued fresh notifications making marriage registration compulsory. Some made it a requirement for issuing passports, ration cards, or even transfer properties. In some states, registration became mandatory within a fixed period after marriage, usually 30 or 60 days. However, implementation has been uneven. In rural areas and even in some urban parts, many marriages continue to go unregistered. This may be due to lack of awareness, cost, logistical hurdles, or simply because many people don't see registration as necessary unless there's a dispute. But that mindset is slowly changing, in part due to awareness, in part due to legal reform, and also because judgments like Seema versus Ashwini Kumar remind us that the right to marry must also come with the right to prove that marriage. This case also shows us something profound about the role of courts. The Supreme Court did not wait for Parliament to act. It used its powers under the Constitution to direct the states based on Article 142, which allows the court to pass any order necessary for doing complete justice. It's also a reminder that social reform can come through judicial action, especially when legislation lags behind lived reality. And it is a testament to how one individual, in this case Seema, can use the courts to bring attention to an issue that affects millions. Let us take a moment to reflect on this. In Indian society, marriage is deeply social and often intensively private. But once entered, it creates legal duties and consequences. Registration does not take away from the ritual, the culture, or the emotion of a wedding. It simply gives a legal shape, one that can be used when rights are in question. It ensures that a marriage isn't just remembered, it's recognized. It ensures that a woman isn't just a wife in photographs but a wife in law. It ensures that children aren't left behind proving their parentage in court because the marriage was already recorded. And perhaps most importantly, it reminds us the documentation matters, not because it replaces tradition, but because it protects dignity. To conclude, Seema versus Ashwini Kumar may not be as widely known as other constitutional cases, but its impact is real and its message is clear. Marriage is not just a private affair, it is a social institution with legal meaning, and that meaning must be preserved, protected, and proven through registration. Thank you for joining me today in the Rule Book Room. If you found this episode useful, do share it with someone who's curious about law or who's even wondering why something as personal as marriage needs something as formal as a certificate. Until next time, this is me, Harp, saying bye to you. Keep learning, keep asking questions, and remember, behind every legal provision, there's a human story.